Hello everyone, I welcome you all to our channel Let's Learn Automation, and in this session we are going to see the method. So method is a group of statement to perform a certain task, or we can collect a number of statement into a single particular block that is called as a method, and we can use that particular block many times, so that's why it is called as a reusability. So whenever we require, we can execute or we can call that method many times. Then to execute the method, we need to call that method into a main method. Actually, there are some types of method we have. So after creating the user that defined method, if we need to execute that, we need to call that in a main. That method may take parameter, even it may return values. So this is the theory about method. So let's check the syntax of method. So first of all, we should have access specifier, then return type, then method name, parameter list, or return statement. So access specifier is an optional one. If we haven't used the access specifier, then by default it's a default. There is no need to define access specifier every time, but mostly we use the public. Then return type is like what type of value that method is going to return. If it is not going to return any value, then we can use the void too. And method name, we can define anything except the keywords or reserved word. Then parameter list is also optional, we can use or we may skip that. Then there are some statement like collection of statement we can use in a single method, and return statement is also optional. So this is what the syntax of method. So let's see the which naming convention we need to use while defining the method. So for example, we have already seen the string class where we have seen the multiple predefined methods are available. So for example, if I am going to define the string str equals to Harry, and if I need to perform any operation like uppercase to uppercase, so here we can see that this is for the predefined method. So it is called as a pre method of string class. We have already seen this thing in a string session. So this is the predefined method of string class, but let's check the structure of this predefined method. Like it start from the lowercase, that is small t, then a new word arrive like upper, and it start from capital and rest of the words are small. Even a new word also arrive like a case, and first letter is capital itself. So what we can say that we can write down the any method name just like this, because this is the standard use in a Java internally. Even in IT companies we have used the same standard. So while defining the name of the method, we need to follow the standard like this. So for example, if I am going to define any method like get employee details, so here we can see it start from the small letter, and when new word attached to that name, the first letter is capital, rest are small. And again, whenever new word arrive, so first letter is capital again and the rest of the words are small. So this is the naming convention we need to use while defining the method name. So there are two types of method. The first one is predefined method and second one is user defined method. Predefined method we have already seen, just like we have main method, then we have seen the length method, even we have seen the print method. These are the predefined method which are already available in Java, and we just need to use this method for our own purpose. So like we use the main method to execute your program, because the program execution start from main. Then length method is used to calculate the length of the any string. Then print method is used to print any statement onto the console. So these are the predefined method. No, we know we don't need to write the logic about for main, length, or even print method. These are predefined, we just need to use it. But some methods we can design for ourselves, that is called as a user defined method, and these are designed by ourselves, so we need to follow this particular syntax. So in a user defined method we have two types. First one is static method and second one is non-static method. So in all those method, okay, in all those predefined like main, length, then user defined method, highest priority is given to main method. So highest priority is given to main method because until uh, there is no main method in a program, we cannot execute that program. Even if we need to call any method, that may be any predefined method other than main like length and or print, or any user defined method, we need to call it in a main, then only we are able to execute that method. So this is what the some theoretical part about the method. Now let's see the program. So this is our new class non-static method, and here we are first of all going to see the all the non-static method. So in a non-static method, we have total four types. The first one is non-static method without parameter. So that's why parameter list is optional in a method syntax. The second one is parameter with, sorry, non-static with parameter. So here we are going to use the parameter. Third one is non-static method with return type. So this per method is going to return something, some value. And the last one, non-static method with return type and parameter. So here we are going to use the return type with parameter. So let's see the first type, that is non-static method without parameter. So here I will just copy the syntax of the method from here. As access specifier we can use public. Then currently we don't have any return type, so I will use void and method name like method1. And parameter list we are not going to use in this method. And as a statement I am going to define some local variable like string name, and will also initialize it, otherwise it will show error, like name, age and salary. So these are the three local variable I have defined over here and also initialize them. And now I just try to print it. So here I am trying to print the name, then some space, then age, then again some space, and finally salary. So this is what the method without parameter, because we haven't used any parameter. I just define three variable and initialize them and trying to print them. Now if I want to run the program, and if I right click over here and try to run the program, then I am not getting any output because this method is not called in the main method, and we can see the main method is a blank, and we know that the program execution start from main method, and in main method we don't have anything, so that's why we are not getting any output. So first of all I will write down here like main started, and if I execute now, so I'm getting the output main started, but this method is not executed because we haven't called this method. So first of all we need to call this method, then only this method will execute. Now to call this method, first of all we need to understand what type of method it is. So basically this is the non-static method, and main method is our static method. So these have no match. Okay, this is the non-static method as we are learning non-static, and the main method is a static one. So there is no match between these two methods. So we cannot use this method directly over here. So for using the method one into main, we had to create the object, and we know how to create the object by using new keyword and the name of the class. So this is what our object, and we cannot use this object directly. So first of all we need to store it into some reference variable. So for example x is a reference variable, and again we need to define which type of reference variable it is. So this is what the type of non-static method. So I will just try to create the local variable, and in this way I just created the object. Now by using the reference variable x I can call this method, because if I try to directly call this method 1, I am not able to call because it shows like change method type to static, because static method can directly call only static method. Non-static method are not allowed directly. So for calling the non-static method, we need to take the help of object. So I will use x dot method 1. Now error is gone, and if I run it, then I am getting main started, and here the output of the non-static method without parameter. So this is what the first method. Now let's see the second one, second type. So here again public, then void, and now we'll use the method name 2. I cannot use the same method name over here. If I try to use, then it will show the error. So method name should be unique one. Then here I can pass the parameter. So I will try to use the same parameter which I used in a previous method. So like string name, int age, and double salary. So I'm just trying to use the same parameter, same type of variable which I use in a previous method. We can use the different parameter too, no problem. But remember one thing, whenever we are defining the parameter over here, so for every parameter we need to define the data type too. In variable, we can define the multiple variable like integer a, then b, then c, but we cannot do the same thing in the in the case of parameter. So if we try to use this as like this, then it will throw the error, because every parameter need the data type over here. So this thing we need to take care. Now I just tried to create this method with parameter, and now I will just try to print the same thing. So I will just copy this statement here. So what this method is going to do, it is going to accept the three parameter like string, integer, and double, and will print the value of all these thing. If I need to call this method again, if I try to execute this program, then I am getting the this particular output. But if I want that this method also participate in the program execution, then I need to call it. So again the same technique we need to use, because this is the non-static method and this is static, so we cannot call this method directly into main. Again we need to use the object like x dot method 2, and here by default we can see that there are the three values are required. So first of all I will pass the first value like Ron, then the second value is like for age, so 22, and third value is for salary, so like 40,000. So these are the three value I pass. Now when I execute this in this method, this Ron will pass to name. Okay, 22 is assigned to age, and 40,000.123 will be assigned to salary. And finally, we are getting the same output which we provided over here. So here we can say that name become Ron, age become 22, and salary become 40,000.123. In this way, whatever the value we pass over here, that value is assigned to this variable, and all this value will be printed over. Just remember one thing, we need to follow the sequence, as here we have the first of all string value, then integer, then double. We need to follow the same sequence. If we try to change the sequence, then that will cause the error. So now if I try to run this program, then I am getting the first line main started, then the previous line the execution of the previous method, and the ron 22 and 40,000.123. So this is what the non-static method with parameter. Here we are using the parameter. In a previous method we haven't used, so this is optional, it depend upon us. Now let's see the third method, non-static method with return type. So again we'll use the access specifier public, then void method 3 I will use. So in this case we need to use the non-static method with return type. So while using the method with return type, we had to use the any data type or any data type in place of void. So for now I will use the string. Even I can use the integer or double too, no problem. So I will use the string, and as I use string, so there is a error. So while using void, there is no error. You can see if I use void, then there is no issue with the method. But as if I change this void to any other data type, then it shows the error, because it says that now this method is of string type and it should return the string value. So if I mouse over, then it says that this method must return a result of type string. So this method should return the string value, because the return type of this method is string, not void. If we have the void, then there is no problem. But if it is other than void, then we need to return something, the same type of return, like the return type of method. So here I will return the string type. So I am returning the Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. So now if I need to call this method, then we have some technique, like if I try to call this like x dot method 3, and if I try to execute this, then I will not get the output of this, because after execution of this method is returning this particular line, and this line should be captured into somewhere. So for capturing this, we can use any variable. So for example, if I use result, and that variable should be of same type of method return type, just like we have the string over here, so I need to use string over here too. So now I can print the result, like, so now I can print the result, and if I execute, then I am getting Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets too. So in this way we can execute the return type of method. So what this method actually doing, whenever we are calling this method, like by using the object x dot method 3, so this method is returning this particular string, okay, and this returning, not printing. As this method is returning, so we need to capture this somewhere. So I try to capture in result type of variable and printed the value of result. If I don't want to capture, then I can directly call that method into our statement, sysO statement, like x dot method 3. This also work. If I execute, then I am getting the same output. So in this way we can use the non-static method with return type. Now let's see the non-static method with return type and parameter. Now we'll use the return type and a parameter both. So again, public string method 4 now, and here I will pass the parameter like string name. Now I can use the same parameter again and again, because this parameter are local, and uh, outer out of this method no one knows about it. So that's why we can use it. And now I need to return name, because I am trying to create the return type of method, and here I pass the parameter, like one parameter of string name. Now I can return the same thing, because this method required the string to be returned. So I'm returning the string type of variable or string type of parameter. So this is also allowed. So we can use like this too. Now while calling, I will use directly. I will not try to capture this into variable. I will directly execute this. So in a sysO statement, x dot method 4 now. So it required some string value. So I can pass like Harry Potter. Spelling may be wrong, but I am passing Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows. So if I try to execute this method, then I am getting main started, the output of first method, second method, third, and the fourth method. And now I will just use main ended. So in this way we can use the non-static method, but while using the non-static method we need to use the object to call all those methods. And remember one thing, that program execution start from main. So if we need to see that what is the output of any program, then we can directly concentrate on the main method. Now let's see the how this program got executed. So we know that the program execution start from main method. So we will enter to the main method, and here we can see that there is one printing line that main started. So this line will be printed first, then in a second line we have created the object, then this will not print anything, then we call in a third line we call the method by using the object. So whenever I call this method, so let's focus on this. Okay, now if I press control and I got the two option, open declaration, open implementation. If I press control then and click on this method, then I will directly jump to that method. Okay, again we'll try to do the same thing. If in the case of this method, if I press control and click on this method, I will directly jump to the definition of this method. So here we can say that we can see the method declaration and definition both. So what it means, whenever the execution or JVM is came to this line, so whatever this method will have, that JVM will execute this method, like initialize the variable, this is not required, initialize the variable and print all the values of variable. Then after execution of this method, JVM will return to the main and again will resume the execution of main method from this particular line. Again, if I try to click on this particular method, then I will jump to this method. So in this way the main executed, like first line main started, then object creation, then execution of this method, then execution of printing statement. So first of all this particular x dot method will execute, and whatever the value it is capture or this method return, this will pass to the printing statement, and finally we'll get the output. Even in the case of this method, first of all this x dot method 4 and this parameter or this value is passed to the method, and it will get something in return, and that will be printed in a printing line, and at last we will get the execution of main ended. So if I execute this again, so I'm getting the output of everything. So now in this program we have seen like the four types of non-static method, like non-static method without parameter, with parameter, with return type, and with return type and parameter. But all we have done this thing in a same class. If I'm writing this method in a separate class and main method in a separate class, so this is also work, and this is what the standard, and we need to follow that type too. So let's try to separate these two, like the all the static method in a one class and main method in a another class. So for that I will create a new class. So this is the new class I created, and I name it like non-static main method. So here I will cut this main method and put in our new class. So now if I try to execute the old class or a previous class, then I am not getting any options because the main is not available over here. But main is shifted to this class. So if I try to execute this or right click by uh, I right click to execute, then I am getting the run as option, Java application, and if I try to run it, then I am getting all the output. So this is the proper way, like we need to put all our methods, user defined method over here, or all the logic in one class and the execution into a single class. So we can create the multiple classes like this, and we can execute all those classes and method in a single class like this, because main is the single one. So in this way we have seen the four types of static method: static without parameter, with parameter, then return type, and return type with parameter, and even we distribute our method with from the main method. So this is it. Thank you.